For months earlier, I saw my mom and dad wield a crowbar inside some random guy's living room, convinced they were ruining my existence. As it happened, they were delivering the one treasure I never realized I desperately required: liberation from the very individuals meant to cherish me above all others. My name is Elena, and I have to share the afternoon I learned that the most poisonous souls in a person's world can carry the exact same blood. It began with $120,000 and a Sunday lunch that rewrote my entire future. Yet to grasp why that sum nearly shattered everything, I must pull you back 6 years to when I still trusted that shared genes guaranteed devotion and affection came without strings. I was 29, crashing in a tiny one-room flat that barely qualified as living space. Each morning for nearly 5 years I'd wake on that narrow mattress and repeat the reasons I kept going. Why I heated cheap soup for supper. Why I rode crowded buses instead of driving my own wheels. Why I shopped secondhand racks and marked birthdays with convenience store muffins. $120,000. That figure spelled independence to me. Sufficient cash to own a real home. To claim a corner of the world that belonged solely to me. Every cent stood for restraint, for nights skipped, for dreams postponed yet never discarded. Endless hours fixing bugs until my vision blurred. Side gigs on weekends while everyone else enjoyed freedom. All of it felt justified the moment I spotted her. The ideal 4-bedroom bungalow with wide plank floors and a kitchen that drank in dawn light like warm honey. Each Sunday I'd head to my folks' place for our standing ritual. Mom would serve her legendary roast chicken. Dad would grumble about his knees yet glow quietly with both daughters nearby. And Clara, my sister, 2 years my senior, would arrive with Nathan, her spouse, forever hunting the next shortcut to millions that required zero real effort. That specific Sunday in November hummed with strange energy the instant I crossed the threshold. A charged current crackled everywhere. A premonition of something massive brewing. Clara and Nathan huddled in the corner murmuring like plotters. Mom kept flashing odd glances my way, half thrilled, half scheming. Dad avoided my gaze while griping about the mailbox. I was too wrapped up in my private triumph to notice the red flags. Phone loaded with photos of the bungalow, eager to spread my happiness with those expected to cheer loudest. "Clara has thrilling news," Mom declared as plates hit the table, her tone laced with that familiar hint she reserved for impending requests. What followed still knots my gut whenever it surfaces. Clara didn't simply mention her latest venture. She delivered a polished pitch. Color printouts, bar charts, earnings forecasts, competitor breakdowns. This marked her fourth swing at launching something big. Evidently the prior 3 crashes, which forced my parents to refinance everything to cover her losses, had taught her nothing. "I've grown from those setbacks," she insisted, eyes shining with that reckless blend of panic and fantasy I knew too well. "Now every detail is locked in. I simply require seed funding for build-out and promotion." Nathan bobbed his head beside her like a trained backup singer. "The numbers promise we'll double every dollar in 18 months. Then every pair of eyes swiveled toward me. Not fleeting looks, pointed, hungry stares that froze my insides. "Why is everyone staring at me?" I asked, already dreading the reply. Clara slipped into the syrupy voice she'd mastered in childhood. "Well, I heard you're close to buying a home. And Mom let slip you've tucked away roughly $120,000. Silence swallowed the room except for the drum of blood in my ears. They had dissected my bank balance. Priced me out like inventory. I wasn't their child or sibling. I was a private lender wearing a familiar face. "I'm not pouring my home fund into your startup, Clara." The sentence left me harsher than planned, but the sheer nerve floored me. This wasn't a minor loan among relatives. This was my whole tomorrow. They wanted me to wager it on Clara's proven talent for catastrophe. Her expression collapsed as if I'd slapped her. "But if you back me today, in 18 months I'll hand you $240,000. You could snag something even nicer." I actually chuckled, the ridiculousness too much. The serial failure begging me to trust my nest egg to wishful spreadsheets and blind hope. "Clara, you've tanked 3 ventures already. Perhaps consider steady employment like normal people." That detonated everything. Clara dissolved into sobs and fled the room like a teen in crisis. Nathan branded me cruel and chased her. And my parents, the couple who'd nurtured me 29 years under the banner of endless love, instantly branded me the monster. "How can you wound your own sister like that?" Mom's words sliced Arctic. Clara possesses gifts you'll never touch. You're simply envious of her achievements. Achievements? I nearly shouted. Which ones? The insolvencies, the collectors ringing at dawn. The anxiety that landed Dad in the yard clutching his chest. But Dad fired the final shot. Hand Clara that money or you're erased from this family. I gaped at these imposters wearing my parents' skins and understood I'd never been their daughter. I was a savings account that breathed, a well to drain on demand. I won't be giving her my money, I answered softly. Then leave this home and never darken our door. So I left. I drove to my shoebox flat, switched numbers the next morning. If cash mattered more than me, I'd formalize the split. 11 months later, I signed papers on that bungalow. Same wide floors, same honeyed sunrise in the kitchen. I turned the extra room into an office and tasted genuine calm for the first time. No more Sunday minefields. No more enduring Clara's fever dreams. No more serving as the family piggy bank for people obligated to protect me. Word filtered through old friends that Clara's company had actually taken off this round. She snagged a mansion, jetted everywhere with Nathan, flooded feeds with luxury shots. I felt honest joy for her, yet not one flicker of remorse for safeguarding my future. For 6 years I thrived without them. 6 calm, chaos-free years climbing my career ladder, discovering the pleasure of my own company, crafting an existence that truly fit. I even met Julian, an extraordinary man at an industry mixer. He lived across several states, yet we nurtured the distance because he offered everything my blood relations never did. Steady, generous, celebratory of me, not my wallet. He'd fly to me, I'd fly to him, and we began mapping a shared tomorrow. I was seriously weighing selling the bungalow to relocate and build anew beside someone who prized my joy above all. Then one ordinary Wednesday an email pierced the routine. It landed in the ancient inbox I rarely checked. The sender line turned my stomach. Mom, Elena, it's urgent, life or death. Please come immediately. Despite every scar, these people had raised me. If death loomed, if Dad's heart failed or Mom battled illness, I had to know. I replied curtly, I'll stop by Saturday. Saturday I parked across the street 10 minutes early, steel gathering. The block looked diminished, faded somehow. But what seized me were the gleaming vehicles in the drive. Clara's new Range Rover and Nathan's spotless BMW. Both screaming money. So this wasn't parents only. This was an ambush. Mom answered, aged, hollowed, fresh creases framing her eyes. Elena, she breathed, voice trembling. Thank heaven. The full cast waited in the living room like a grim reunion episode. Dad in his recliner looking stern. Clara curled on the sofa beside Nathan, eyes swollen. They appeared relieved yet petrified. What is this? I demanded, remaining on my feet. Your message claimed someone was dying. Mom's eyes welled instantly. It's Clara. She's in grave danger. I studied my sister, who couldn't lift her gaze. Nathan gripped her hand like a lifeline. What danger? Dad exhaled heavily. Her company collapsed 4 months ago. The bank seized her mansion. She owes serious cash to men who don't negotiate. A wave of validation crashed with real pity. Validation because I predicted the fall. Pity because losing your home hurts, even when self-inflicted. I'm sorry that happened, I said carefully. But why am I here? Clara finally whispered. $180,000. Who gets $180,000? Nathan answered. Private backers. The kind who don't accept IOUs. Clara sobbed anew. They phone constantly, threaten violence. They've learned our new address, our patterns. We're terrified, Elena, truly terrified. Sympathy tugged, but confusion remained. That sounds awful. Still, what do you expect from me? Mom detonated the request. We know you own a lovely home now. Sell it. Use the proceeds to clear Clara's obligations. I gawked, stunned. Have you lost your minds? You're young, Mom pressed on, ignoring me. You can save again. Clara and Nathan could be injured or worse. I scanned the room at these strangers who'd ghosted me half a decade, who'd never once checked if I breathed. Let me clarify, I said, voice icing over. 5 years ago you banished me for refusing to fund Clara's dream. That dream imploded. Now she owes thugs and you want my house money to rescue her? Blood helps blood, Dad intoned solemnly. Blood? I laughed bitterly. You declared me dead to you. Recall? Clara wept louder. We were wrong before, but this is life-threatening. Then maybe don't borrow from criminals. Nathan flared. You can't fathom our stress. Correct, I can't. Yet I noticed 2 luxury SUVs outside. Start by liquidating those. We require vehicles for work, Clara snapped. More than you require safety. Their reasoning looped insanely. They demanded I torch my stability to mend their self-made disaster while sacrificing nothing. Mom stepped close. Selling your place would cover everything and leave you enough for a decent condo. Decent condo? Rage surged. Mom, I starved for that house. I pinched every dime for years. I lived like a hermit to earn it. I'm not liquidating it for Clara's catastrophe. She's your blood, Dad repeated. Also an adult who chose recklessly. Clara leapt up. You're meant to stand by me, to care if I live. Where was that loyalty when you all evicted me? That was different, Mom claimed. How? You refused to part with your savings then, and I refused to part with mine now. Silence fell. They glared as if I were the monster. I'm finished here, I stated. Clara dug this hole she can climb out. If you care so much, sell your house. Mom recoiled. This is our only home. We're too old to rebuild. Then you comprehend exactly why I won't sell mine. I headed for the door. Clara shouted, you'll regret this. These men play for keeps. I paused. So do I. I drove away lighter than I'd felt in years. The moment I reached the bungalow, I blocked Mom's email. Done forever. Peace lasted roughly a week. Julian phoned daily, steady as ever. You protected yourself, he repeated. They can't resurface after half a decade demanding rescue. I felt solid in my choice. Yes, pity for Clara lingered. But her crisis wasn't my burden. I had my own path. Then one Thursday morning shattered calm. Making tea, anticipating focus work. A car door slammed hard outside. Peering through the blinds, my cup nearly slipped. Mom and Dad marched up my walk like they belonged. What are you doing here? I demanded at the threshold. How did you find my house? Mom smirked faintly. Clara hired a skip tracer. A skip tracer? You're joking. Dad surveyed the facade with appraiser eyes, dollar signs practically flashing. Lovely property, he muttered. Leave my land. But Mom shoved past and strode inside as if invited. Dad trailed. Shock rooted me momentarily. Don't settle in, I warned. You're leaving now. Mom roamed the living room, fingering shelves, cataloging value. Sell this and you'd clear Clara's debt with cash left for a tidy condo. I already refused. Dad gestured wide. So much room for one person. You hardly need it. My needs aren't your concern. Mom's eyes watered again. Clara's petrified, Elena. Those men rang yesterday. They know her hideout. They promised harm by month's end. Then Clara should contact authorities. Authorities can't touch these types, Dad scoffed. Restraining orders mean nothing. Still not my crisis. You must leave. We stay until you commit to saving your sister, Mom declared, arms folded defiantly. Then I'm dialing 911. Phone out, fingers flying. Dad seized my wrist. Don't be absurd. Release me. I yanked free. Outer cops now. They saw resolve. Mom wailed louder. Fine, but mark my words, if Clara suffers, her blood stains your hands. And if my future collapses bailing her out, that stain is mine alone. At least this way only the architect faces the wreckage. Dad jabbed a finger. You'll live to regret abandoning blood. You abandoned me first. They finally left. I immediately phoned the agent I'd been consulting about possibly listing for Julian. Hi, Elena here. Remember discussing a sale to relocate? List it today. I'll accept 5% below ask to move fast. Funny timing, she replied. I have a cash buyer hunting your neighborhood. That discount seals it. 3 days later an offer arrived. Lower than ideal but reasonable for speed. Accepted on the spot. Julian was baffled when I explained. Why the hurry? I detailed the invasion, the threats, the refusal to exit. I no longer feel safe owning something they can weaponize, Julian. Better to cash out and vanish the leverage. Wise and bonus, you'll land here sooner. I grinned for the first time all week. Mind if I crash while hunting locally? Mind? I've prayed for this. Closing flew. Paperwork finished in days, keys handed over. Julian drove over to help pack and haul everything westward. Having him beside me eased the strain. Loading the final carton, I glanced back at the bungalow. I'd been blissfully happy inside those walls. Earning it had demanded everything, yet I felt certain selling was right. New chapter. No more property for emotional ransom. You good? Julian asked, arm around my shoulders. Never better. Let's roll. We pulled away and a decade of weight evaporated. Whatever storm Clara faced, it wouldn't touch me or my money. I was untethered at last. Life with Julian proved magical. His home felt warm, work from anywhere ease transition. Nights we scoured listings, sketching tomorrows. After months of tension, joy felt effortless. I'd been settled roughly 5 weeks when an unknown local number rang one Friday. Elena Ramirez? Speaking. This is Detective Brooks, Riverton PD. Regarding an incident with your parents, Harold and Diane Ramirez. Ice flooded my veins. What incident? Arrested last night. Felony burglary and vandalism. The victim intends to prosecute. Burglary where? The address matches your prior residence. 214 Oak Lane, formerly yours? I sold it weeks ago. What were they doing? That's the question. They trashed the interior, shattered windows, smashed furnishings, sprayed slurs across walls. The new owner walked in on them swinging a crowbar through his coffee table. I sank onto Julian's sofa, legs gone. You're certain? Dead certain. Damage tallied near $45,000. They insisted they believed it remained your home, and that you'd betrayed the family. They were evening the score. I spilled every detail to Detective Brooks, the debts, the ambush, the 5-year exile. He transcribed patiently. So they were unaware of the sale? Clearly. They meant to wreck my life and hit a stranger instead. Precisely. Hanging up, I recounted it to Julian. He was speechless. That's deranged, Elena. The owner could have shot them as intruders. The thought hadn't struck me. My own parents nearly died over petty vengeance. Updates trickled in over weeks from police and old acquaintances. Charges stuck, reality crashed down. My parents accepted a plea, avoiding prison but owing full restitution plus fees, nearly $70,000 total. A friend, Lauren, phoned with the full scoop. Elena, they liquidated their house. Only way to cover it. The irony choked me. The home they swore was sacred, too old to replace, gone. And get this, Lauren added. Whatever remained after court, they signed over to Clara's creditors. They did exactly what they begged me to do, only with their own roof. Best part? Clara's dangerous lenders were simply a venture fund prepping a lawsuit. No mob, no violence, just lawyers. She'd fabricated mortal peril to manipulate everyone. Where are Mom and Dad now? Cramped in a 2-bedroom rental with Clara and Nathan. For adults, constant warfare. Months slid by and whispers arrived. My family fishing for contact through mutuals, craving apology, reconciliation. Each time I shut it down. Lauren tried once more. Your mom begged me to say she's sorry, they see their errors now. Too late. I reminded her they ignored my existence half a decade. Then demanded I bankrupt myself. Then committed felonies when I refused. Done. But their family, Lauren pressed. No. Family doesn't exile you then stalk and destroy property over money. Julian overheard, took my hand post-call. You okay? Better than ever. And I meant it. We'd found our dream house and were drafting an offer. Work had promoted me generously. Best, no more toxic circus. He beamed that heart-melting smile. Speaking of houses, I'm ready to offer on more than brick and mortar. He knelt, ring box open, stealing my breath. Elena, marry me? We'll buy that home together and live the future we've mapped. Joyful tears spilled, first and forever. Yes, 1,000 times yes. We got engaged that evening, offered on the house days later, accepted instantly, wedding set for next summer in our new backyard. Some nights I wonder if permanent severance was right. Doubt evaporates in seconds when I recall the serenity I've gained. Clara authored her chaos through repeated folly and refusal to learn. Mom and Dad fed the monster rather than let natural consequences bite. They chose harassment over accountability. When I stood firm, they chose crime. I chose a partner who loves without ledger. I chose sanity and safety. I chose far wiser. Julian and I are knee-deep in wedding plans, debating little ones, sketching spring gardens. My career soars beyond old dreams, and I wake daily steeped in real contentment. None of it possible had I let them pull me under. So no, zero regrets about the cut. Sometimes those biologically obligated to love you attach the heaviest price tags. Sometimes severing toxic roots is the kindest gift you give your soul and your tomorrow. The fiercest lines we draw often become the gates to true liberty. And liberty, I've discovered, outweighs every cost. Thank you for hearing me. If this resonated, pass it along to anyone battling similar chains. Drop a comment, subscribe for more tales of choosing yourself when origins fail you. Because sometimes the family you build eclipses the one you were handed.